repeated warnings. Sweeping new lockdown restrictions have started in the southern Australian state of Victoria after a surge in new coronavirus infections. Authorities in the country's second city have declared a state of disaster, restricting the residents' ability to leave their homes. Melbourne's lockdown measures also include an overnight curfew. Victoria State currently accounts for most of the country's new infections in recent weeks. Professor Nancy Baxter is head of the Melbourne School of Population and Global Health at the University of Melbourne. She says families with children will be heavily affected due to the closing of daycare facilities.
I think there's going to be a major impact for many Melburnians. We have a curfew now. You can't be outside your home between 8 and 5 in the morning. There are going to be many restrictions in terms of workplaces. So they're going to be shutting down many workplaces that are currently open to try to restrict that interaction between people. They're restricting how many, where you can go in terms of exercising. You're not supposed to go really at any point more than 5 kilometers away from your residence. One of the main things is going to be shutting down of daycare and shutting down of the school's children that were back. So it's going to have a major impact on people with children.
Is there any reason, or at least hypothesis at this stage, as to why the virus is transmitting so fast in Victoria compared to other parts of Australia?
Well, I think it's just what happens when you get community spread. With the second wave, with the first wave, we were able to identify the people most at risk, and they had relatively few contacts because they knew that they were at risk. They'd been traveling, for example, or had contact with a traveler. But here, once it's into the community, it's much harder to identify when you've been at risk of it. You've just been going to work. By going to work, you've been at risk. So once it kind of gets into the community, it becomes much harder to manage. And also people at work, if they get it at work, they bring it back home, and you end up getting spread at home as well. In fact, when they talk about how rapidly the virus is spreading, for every one person, just around one person is contracting the virus. So over time, with current restrictions, we'd get things under control, but it would be months from now. So this is the only way we can kind of get things under control quickly so that we can get back to some kind of a normal way or close to normal way of living in a less than 6